Hello and good evening, friends, and welcome to the final Strictly Sports NFL Saturday broadcast of this NFL season. I say that because starting Thursday night and for the rest of the season, we will be broadcasting our NFL shows on Thursday nights. We apologize for the late start. There was something that there was a big professional wrestling event, Ring of Honor final battle, and it just concluded. MF wanted to see the main event and another bombshell that went off during this event. And MF will address you all on those details. He'll share the details of all of that Friday night on the Cerebral Smack Talk. But for right now, let's get into week number 14 of this NFL season. It started Thursday night with Thursday Night Football, as always. Great matchup. The Pittsburgh Steelers squaring off against the Minnesota Vikings at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota. With the way the game was going at first, it looked like it was going to be an absolute dud. But then it ended up going from a dud to a damn near five-star classic right before our very eyes. And it was the Minnesota Vikings who held on for the win over the Pittsburgh Steelers by a final score of 36-28. Man, what a game that was. Unbelievable. Our number 5 game of the week just set the bar for the rest of our games this week, I'll tell you. And so with that, next week, the Minnesota Vikings will be playing on Monday Night Football, and they will be traveling to Soldier Field in Chicago to take on the Chicago Bears, whereas the Pittsburgh Steelers, they got a tough one next week. They go home and they got to go back home and host the Tennessee Titans. So we'll get into that next week, or I should say on Thursday night. Final bye week. In addition to this being our final Saturday show when it comes to this, it's also the final bye week of the 2021 season. And those final 4 bye teams are the Indianapolis Colts, the Miami Dolphins, the New England Patriots, and the Philadelphia Eagles. You will not see them this week. So with that being said, let's dive on in to our first game of week number 14, divisional matchup. And it's the second meeting between these two teams, as it will be the Atlanta Falcons squaring off against the Carolina Panthers from Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. And you can find this game over on Fox. And it'll be Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, and Lindsey Zarniak. They will be on the call for the Falcons and the Panthers. And Carolina opening up as a 2.5-point favorite. They met earlier this season in Atlanta, and the Carolina Panthers actually won that game by a score of 19-13. So Carolina cuts into Atlanta's lead. Atlanta now leads the series 33-20. With Carolina's win in Atlanta, their second straight. But the Falcons have actually won the last 3 years in Charlotte, including last year, 25-17. The Panthers have not beaten the Falcons at home since 2017. That was a final score of 20-17. So with that being said, let's dive on into our first game of the week. For this week, the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. And for the final Saturday, because you won't get these on Thursdays, what to watch for, bold prediction, stat to know, what to know for fantasy, the betting nugget, the FPI percentage, and our predictions and scores. So with that, here we go. What to watch for. Carolina's new offensive play caller, Jeff Nixon, is run-oriented. So look for him to come at the Falcons the way former offensive coordinator Joe Brady did the first time these teams met. He might not call 47 rushes as Brady did in that 1913 win, but you can bet he'll call more than the 18-21 runs that Brady did in his last 2 games. Look for a lot more read option now that Cam Newton is back as quarterback. Bold prediction, Carolina ran for 203 yards the last time these two teams played, and don't be surprised if the strategy looks similar again tomorrow for the Panthers, and with similar results, mostly field goals and not many touchdowns. The difference this time for the Falcons is they have a more consistent game plan, and quarterback Matt Ryan will find a way to throw 2 touchdown passes, enough to help push Atlanta to a win. Stat to know, with Christian McCaffrey inactive, Chuba Hubbard will likely start at running back for the Panthers. He was second in the NFL in rush attempts, 89, and ninth in rush yards, 379 in weeks 4 to 8 while McCaffrey was out. For fantasy, Panthers receiver DJ Moore has eclipsed 13 fantasy points in just 2 of his 7 career games against the Falcons. Betting nugget, Atlanta is 4-1 against the spread in its last 5 road games. And Carolina is the FPI favorite, 67.5%, just about 68% going with Carolina. I mean, it's tough to call, but I'm going to take a chance, and I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers to win this game. My final score, 24-20. Carolina beats Atlanta. So with that being said, good old MF Michael Fletcher, come on in. Week 14 of this NFL season, and we started off with the second meeting with the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. I got Carolina winning 24-20. What says you?
I kind of feel the same way. I feel like Carolina, even though they don't have all their weapons there, I kind of feel like Carolina will find out a way to win this one. So, yeah, give me the Panthers as well. Anthony, next game.
Okay, and we move on to the next matchup of week number 14. Now, originally, this would have been the San Francisco 49ers and the Cincinnati Bengals, but that game has now been moved to the late window, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So we're going to move on to the game that preceded that one, and it will be the Baltimore Ravens squaring off against the Cleveland Browns from First Energy Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio. This will be over on CBS. It's our number 3 game of the week. And on the call for this one, it's stuck. All right. It'll be Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins. And the spread favors and believe it or not, Cleveland. Cleveland is actually opening up as a 3-point favorite, surprisingly. And even though these two teams did meet just 2 weeks ago on Thanksgiving weekend in Baltimore, and the Ravens survived by a final score of 16-10. So Baltimore adds to their overwhelming series lead. It's now 34-11. And they've now won 4 meetings in a row against the Browns, including last year in Cleveland, this very week a year ago, Monday Night Football, in what was, in many people's eyes, the regular season game of the year last year. Baltimore winning 47-42 in Cleveland. Ravens have won the last few years in Cleveland. The Browns have not beaten the Ravens at home, and it's actually been a while. 2000 and I believe 14. Yeah, 2014. No, 2013. I beg your pardon. 2013 was the last time the Browns beat the Ravens at home. 24-18. The Ravens have now won 6, maybe 7 straight against the Browns in their house. So there isn't much more to say on this. So MF, I mean, it's our number 3 game of the week. I mean, we did have a tie, but I put one other matchup that I thought was more relevant here because you said something recently that stood out to me during one of our behind the scenes, and you said that the Cleveland Browns are a shell of themselves. What did you mean by that?
What
MF, are
I
you there?
mean by that,
Okay.
they were a shell.
You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello.
Yep, I'm here.
Are we good?
I'm good. Are you?
All right. What I mean, it seems like I'm like fading in and out for a moment. Okay. I mean, hopefully you guys can hear me. Hopefully it's working now. What I mean that they were a shell of themselves is that basically what it is that Cleveland had so much expectations, and there was so much that a lot of people were looking for with the Browns that it just never panned it out. They're a shell of their former team because of the fact that if you remember, Cleveland was good last year, and now it feels like they're going back to their old selves again. Um, that's where I'm getting the shell from. Um, at the end of the day, I don't know if they're gonna bounce back. That's the tough part. You know, um, I think Baltimore's the better team. Now, granted, Baltimore's got a lot of injuries and a lot of issues, but I do believe I advantage more than the Cleveland Browns. So that's what I would say, Anthony.
Yeah. You're back on mute again. I don't know what the heck's going on here. Yep. Your mic's off.
Because I was done talking.
Oh, you're already set. So I'm guessing you're going with Baltimore then. Yep. All right. I don't know what the heck's going on here. There's obviously something, some real hocus pocus stuff going on here right now. I don't know, but anyways, all right. So let's get in order here. So, all right. So it's obvious MF is going with Baltimore. So now let's get into my thoughts on this. What to watch for? Will the Browns offense, specifically the passing game, make a turnaround coming out of the bye week? Coach Kevin Stefanski and his staff devoted last week to self-scouting, searching for a way to jumpstart an offense that has scored more than 17 points only once since October 10th. To have any hope of defeating the Ravens this time, Cleveland will have to score a lot more than the 10 points it put up in their November 28th meeting in Baltimore. Bold prediction, the Browns will run for more than 150 yards against the NFL's top-ranked run defense. 2 weeks ago, Baltimore held Cleveland to its season low in rushing yards 40, but the Browns know their winning formula is committing to the run. 5-1 when rushing over 30 times, and Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are the healthiest part of Cleveland's offense. Stat to know, Cleveland edge rusher Myles Garrett is second in the NFL with 14 sacks this season. Only TJ Watt of Pittsburgh has more with 16. That means he is tied with Reggie Camp, who had 14 in 1984, for the most sacks in a season in franchise history since sacks became an official stat in 1982. For fantasy, worried about the dud performance from Baltimore quarterback Lamar Jackson against these Browns 2 weeks ago? It was concerning, but in his last 2 trips to the home of the dog pound, he has racked up over 100 yards rushing on his way to 32.4 fantasy points a game. Betting nugget, Cleveland is 1-6 against the spread in its last 7 games and 0-3 against the spread in its last 3 games. FPI prediction. Pop-up video comes up, of course. So, all right. All right. Cleveland 1-6 against the spread in its last 7 games and 0-3 against the spread in its last 3 games. Believe it or not, Cleveland is being touted as the FPI favorite here. 53.5%, just about 54% going with Cleveland. I don't like those odds, to be honest with you. But I got the Baltimore Ravens winning this game. My final score, it's going to be 30-24. I have the Baltimore Ravens knocking off the Cleveland Browns. So with that being said, let's move on to our next matchup here. All right. So we have the next matchup will feature the Seattle Seahawks squaring off against the Houston Texans from NRG Stadium, formerly Reliant Stadium in Houston, Texas. And this game will be over on Fox. And all right, I got it right here. On the call for that one, it will be Chris Myers with Daryl Moose Johnston and Jennifer Hale. And it is Seattle. Seattle opening up as a 9-point favorite. Seattle leads the all-time series 3-1. Seattle's won the last 2 meetings. Last meeting in Houston was 2013. Seattle won 23-20 in overtime. And Houston has only beaten Seattle once, and that was in Houston. And that was back in 2009. 34-7 beatdown for Houston on that day. So with that, let's get into Seattle versus Houston here. What to watch for? The Texans are scoring a league worst 13.5 points a game this season. Whoop, pop up video. All right. All right, what to watch for? The Texans are scoring a league worst 13.5 points a game this season. Yep, there's the pop-up video. Yeah, pop-up video's fading in and out. All right. All right, pop-up videos now contained. Let's go. Da-da-da. What to watch for? The Texans are scoring a league worst 13.5 points a game this season and have been shut out twice. Meanwhile, the Seahawks defense ranks 6th in the NFL, allowing an average of 20.8 points a game. Houston's team total is set at 16.5, but the Texans have hit that number only twice since week 2. Bold prediction, the Seahawks will get at least 3 sacks of whomever Houston starts at quarterback, whether it's Tyrod Taylor or Davis Mills. And yeah, that's bold considering their pass rush has been among the worst in the league and easily their biggest disappointment. They're facing the right team tomorrow, with Houston ranking 30th in ESPN's pass block win rate, while allowing the 6th most sacks per drop back of any team. Stat to know, both teams rank in the bottom 3 in time of possession this season, and the Seahawks are on pace to become the second team in the last 45 years to average fewer than 25 minutes of possession a game, the 1999 Cleveland Browns. What to know for fantasy? Seattle receiver Tyler Lockett has finished each of the last 3 weeks inside the top 30 fantasy finishers at the position, while DK Metcalf has 0 such performances over that stretch. Betting nugget, Houston's last 4 games have gone under the total. Seattle overwhelming FPI favorites, 72. It's 72.9%.
That happens, and you're bearing down on it.
Yep. So I got 73% going with Seattle. I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks to win this game, 26-14. I got Seattle winning, so not much more to say. MF, Seattle and Houston, one of the zonk games of the week over on the other side, thank goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. A zonk game of the week, no doubt about that. I'm going to win with the Seattle Seahawks. I do believe that they're going to win this game. Houston's just a complete and utter mess. There's really nothing more to add here, Anthony. So Seattle wins, and it's yours.
All right. So with that being said, moving on now to – all right, here we go. Remember what I said about Baltimore and Cleveland, and there was another game that I put over them. Well, this is our number 2 game of the week, as it will be the Las Vegas Raiders squaring off against the Kansas City Chiefs from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. This game will be over will be right here, of course, on CBS, and it'll be Iron Eagle, Charles Davis, and Evan Washburn on the call. Kansas City opening up as a 10-point favorite, and they met earlier in this season, about 3 weeks ago, I believe, on a Sunday night. Kansas City won, and they won at Allegiant Stadium, so they add to their series lead. It's now 67-53 with 2 ties, and however, the Raiders won the last meeting in Kansas City a year ago, a wild game, 40-32. Vegas stole one in Kansas City last year. Chiefs' last win over the Raiders was the year before, 2019, 40-9 beatdown. So, MF, here we go. Our number 2 game of the week, the Las Vegas Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead. AFC West implications in this one, especially if Vegas wins, but I don't know, man. I mean, I think Kansas City's found their mojo again.
I think so too, and I totally agree with everything you just said there. Kansas City, it looks like they're starting to get better. Their defense, and that's the biggest thing, is that their defense has gotten better. They're starting to be more connected. They're starting to look a lot more stronger. I think they're going to get the job done. Look, the Raiders are a very good team, and they'll have a couple of fits. They're going to give some fits to Kansas City, but there's too many weapons with Patrick Mahomes, with Tyreek Hill, with Travis Kelce, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. If he gets going, it's going to be a long day for the Raiders, and the defense is starting to get it. The defense is starting to get stronger, and if Kansas City's defense can put it together and be a dominant force, just like their offense is, their high-powered offense, Kansas City is going to put themselves back in that conversation of a threat in the AFC. Nobody wants to see it, except for one of my friends, Joe Anderson, who's a big one of my Discord buddies, Joe Anderson, who is a Kansas City Chief fan. He would love to see it. I don't think a lot of people around here would want to see it, especially New England fans, because right now New England's the top team, but Kansas City's right there. So, Chiefs win. Florio, it's yours.
Absolutely. What to watch for here? The Chiefs have looked like the Chiefs just once in the last 6 weeks, and that came in Week 10 against the Raiders. Kansas City quarterback Patrick Mahomes passed for 406 yards and 5 touchdowns in a 41-14 beatdown. Was it a fluke, or do the Chiefs have the Raiders figured out? The Chiefs have a good chance of posting big offensive numbers again if they protect Mahomes as well as they did last time these two teams met. They held edge rushers Yannick Ngakoue and Max Crosby without a sack. Bold prediction, Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce will have a 4th straight game against the Raiders with at least 100 receiving yards. He said he got his quote-unquote swag back after catching 8 passes for a season-high 119 yards 3 weeks ago, and Raiders safety Jonathan Abram has given up 14 catches on 15 targets for 198 yards and 3 touchdowns in 3 career games against the Chiefs. Kelce has had 8 total catches his last 2 games, but will feast tomorrow. Stat to know, Raiders receiver Hunter Renfrow has put together back-to-back 100-yard receiving games for the second time in his career, but he has never had 3 straight such games. In fact, the only Raiders player in the last 20 years with 3 straight 100-yard receiving games is tight end Darren Waller, who had 4 straight from 2020 to 2021. For fantasy, Vegas quarterback Derek Carr has completed over 70% of his passes while throwing multiple touchdowns and scoring over 18 fantasy points in each of his last 3 games against the Chiefs. And the betting nugget, Kansas City has covered 3 straight games after starting the season 2-7 against the spread. Kansas City, the FBI favorite, of course, 71.9%, about 72% going with Kansas City. I'm going with Kansas City to win this game. I think it'll be close, but I think Kansas City will pull it out in the 4th, late score. So 31-20, I got Vegas. I should say Kansas City, rather, knocking off Vegas. So KC over Vegas, 31-20, just to clear up any confusion. So with that being said, let's move on. Now, originally, this game was scheduled to be on Fox, but has now been cross-flexed over to CBS. It's our number 6 game of the week. It's the New Orleans Saints squaring off against the New York Jets from MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Of course, which hosted earlier today the Army and Navy game, and man, was that something. That was a great, great game, no doubt about that. Hell of a call by MF as usual. And anyways, Saints and Jets. The Saints lead the all-time series. I forgot to mention that Andrew Catalan, James Lofton, and Amanda Balionis will be on the call. And New Orleans opening up as a 5.5-point favorite. And New Orleans leads the all-time series 7-6. Their last meeting was in New Orleans in 2017. Saints won 31-19. Last meeting in New York, 2013. Jets won 26-20. Saints' last win at the Jets in New York was in 2005. 21-19, the final there. So let's get into Saints and Jets. What to watch for? Saints quarterback Taysom Hill has an injured middle finger on his throwing hand and might have to play with a splint. But 4 fingers should be enough to beat the worst defense in the NFL. The Jets are allowing 30.6 points a game, the NFL's 7th worst mark since 2000, according to ESPN Stats and Information Research. The best case scenario for the Jets is that rookie quarterback Zach Wilson, like Hill, a BYU product, can build off last week's encouraging performance. Bold prediction, New Orleans running back Alvin Kamara will have more than double the amount of yards from scrimmage as the entire Jets backfield. Kamara will be an even bigger part of New Orleans offense than usual, with Mark Ingram likely sidelined on the reserve/COVID-19 list and Hill dealing with a finger injury. Meanwhile, the Jets won't be able to generate much on the ground against New Orleans' dominant run defense, and their running backs haven't been a big part of the passing game with Wilson at quarterback. Stat to note, Jets receiver Elijah Moore has 5 receiving touchdowns this season, all in his last 5 games. That's tied for the most in the NFL since Week 9, and his 392 receiving yards ranked 7th. For fantasy, Hill is averaging more fantasy points a game in his 5 career starts, 21.1, than Matthew Stafford is averaging this season, 21. Betting nugget, New York is a league worst 3-9 against the spread this season. Another overwhelming FPI favorite, this time it's the New Orleans Saints, 70.8%, about 71% going with New Orleans. I'm going with New Orleans as well. My final score, 31-17. The New Orleans Saints over the New York Jets. So not much more to say. MF, Saints and Jets, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is a safe bet, and you can actually say that New Orleans should win this one pretty handily. The Jets are really just in a bad position. I don't think there's going to be a lot of people that's going to say much about this one. But I will say that when it comes to New Orleans, I just feel like they're the better team. So, yeah, there's really nothing more to say. I'll go with the New Orleans Saints to win and nothing more to go. So, Florio, it's yours.
All right. And we move on to the next matchup. And when it comes to our side of the ledger, this is the Zonk game of the week over on our side of the ledger, as it will be the Jacksonville Jaguars squaring off against the Tennessee Titans from Nissan Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee. And on the call for this one for CBS will be Spiro Ditas and Jay Feely. And Tennessee opening up as an 8.5-point favorite. And second meeting between these division rivals. They met earlier this season in Jacksonville. And the Tennessee Titans put a whooping on them, 37-19. So Tennessee now adds to their series lead. It's now 32-21 in favor of Tennessee. Tennessee has now won 4 straight against Jacksonville. And they've actually done very well against the Jags in Nashville over the years. Jacksonville has not won in Tennessee since 2013. That was a 29-27 final, but ever since then, it's been all Tennessee at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So not much more to say. MF, Zonk game of the week, and Tennessee with all their injury concerns and the whole 9 yards. I know they could not have asked for a better time to see the lowly Jags, and especially with all the reports coming out today that Urban Meyer. Yeah.
There is drama in Jacksonville. It's getting ugly over there.
Yeah, it's reality show drama, babe.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't even think the Jersey Shore or the Kardashians could have wrote up this.
Oh, no.
You know, this is getting, it's getting bad. It's even getting worse by the day. I don't know if Urban Meyer is going to make it to the end. I just don't see it. Especially after what happened today. Oh no. Tennessee, you're wounded, you're hurting, you don't have all your players. Well, the one bit of good news is Julio Jones has been cleared. He will play on Sunday, which is good news for the Titans. But even with Julio being there, I don't think it's going to help. I don't think it really matters because of how bad this team is. And I mean the Jacksonville Jaguars and how much of a problem this team has been. I'm going to say Tennessee wins this one going away. And I don't think it could be almost similar to that score line that you talked about earlier in the year, Florio. So give me the Tennessee Titans to win pretty comfortably. Nothing more to say. It's all yours.
Yeah, what to watch for here? The Titans are longing to get back into the positive column of the turnover ratio. Tennessee turned the ball over 9 times in its last 2 games and failed to get any takeaways. Jacksonville's minus 1.3 turnover margin is tied for the worst in the league. So this week should be a good opportunity for the Titans to get some takeaways. Bold prediction, Jaguars running back James Robinson will get 25 plus touches. There has been an outcry in Jacksonville after Robinson was benched for 16 and 20 plays the last 2 weeks after fumbling. Backup running back Carlos Hyde fumbled, but went back onto the field for the next drive. Quarterback Trevor Lawrence even spoke to the coaching staff about Robinson being on the field. Expect an overcorrection this week, but don't expect the same kind of performance he had in the first meeting, 149 yards. The Titans are giving up only 98 yards a game on the ground, so we are not looking for Robinson to rush for more than 100. Stat to know, Tennessee quarterback Ryan Tannehill has thrown 13 interceptions this season, tied for the second most in the NFL, and as many as he had in his previous 2 seasons with the Titans combined. But the Jaguars' defense has just 5 picks this season, tied for the league's second fewest. For fantasy, the Titans' Dontrell Hilliard was a top 15 running back in both Week 11 and Week 12, scoring the 8th most points at the position over those 2 weeks as a whole. Tennessee had a Week 13 bye. Betting nugget, the under is 10-2 in Jacksonville games this season with 7 straight unders. Tennessee, overwhelming FPI favorite, 81.1%, going with the Tennessee Titans. I'm going with the Tennessee Titans. Lock of the week, 35-10, Tennessee, all over Jacksonville. So not much more to say on that. I believe we now move on to our final early game of the week, and it's a big one. It's a big one in the NFC. It's the number 2 game on the other side of the ledger. Huge game in the NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys squaring off against the Washington football team from FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. This game will be over on Fox, and on the call for that one will be Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olsen, and Pam Oliver. Dallas opening up as a 4.5-point favorite, and believe it or not, this is the first meeting of the year between these 2 legendary rivals. Dallas leads the all-time series 73-45 with 2 ties. However, Washington swept the season series last year, including a 25-3 whooping in Washington last year. Cowboys' last win in Washington came the year before, 2019. That was a 31-21 win 2 years ago. So with that, let's get into what will, without a doubt, be the number 2 game of the week over on the other side of the ledger here. What to watch for? Can Washington's run game create against the Dallas front? Washington has converted 50% of its third downs during the win streak because it constantly faces third and 4 or less. That has been the case on 27 out of its last 58 third downs. You can credit the run game for that success, and that's important because if Washington gets into 3rd and long versus this pass rush, it'll be a big day for Dallas's Micah Parsons. It's probably the difference between a close Washington win and a Dallas double-digit victory. Bold prediction, Dallas quarterback Dak Prescott will have a rushing touchdown. He has just 1 on the year after having at least 3 and a max of 6 in each of his first 5 seasons. The Cowboys have not had him run as much as he has in the past, likely because of the ankle injury he suffered last season. But he has 4 rushing touchdowns in his career against Washington. By the way, he is 7-1 as a starter versus Washington with 13 touchdown passes and only 1 interception. Stat to know, Washington running back Antonio Gibson has had 109 touches during the team's 4-game winning streak, the second most since Week 10, behind Indianapolis's Jonathan Taylor, 114. And he had 4 touchdowns and averaged 132 scrimmage yards in 2 games against the Cowboys last season. For fantasy, does Dallas win this game? The answer to that question and the question of whether to start Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott in fantasy is the same. For his career, he averages 23.3 fantasy points a game in wins over Washington, but just 5.1 in the losses. Betting nugget, Dallas is 7-0 against the spread in conference games this season. The FPI going with the Dallas Cowboys, 62.9%, about 63% going with Dallas. I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys to win this game. My final score, 30-22. Dallas, I think Dallas pulls it out. But if Washington were to win, I would not at all be surprised, considering how hot they've been. So there isn't much more to say here. Give me Dallas 30-22. MF. huge game in the NFC East here. Dallas with a win, well, will definitely create some breathing room. But if Washington wins, does it get interesting?
It gets very interesting. There's no doubt about it. At the end of the day, I would have to say Washington's one of those teams that you don't know what you're going to get. I mean, are we going to get the team that absolutely beat down the New England Patriots? I mean, not the New England Patriots, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Or are we going to get this team that can go either way? The way I see it is they're without a doubt the most interesting team, and they have the biggest hot streak right now. We always talk about streaks and everything else. The two teams that's really stood out lately has been the team on bye, the Miami Dolphins, and the Washington football team. They've been red hot lately, and nobody wants to play Washington because all of a sudden, Taylor Heinicke's looking great. Antonio Gibson's done really well. Scary Terry McLaurin's looking really well. So all of a sudden, you see these two teams, and you're like, oh my goodness, Dallas needs to win this game. Because if Washington wins, they put themselves in prime position to possibly steal the division. And they're at home. Yes, I know Dallas is the favorite, and I know FPI has them as the favorite, but I gotta go with the team with the hot hand. Washington steals it from Dallas and makes it a divisional race, Anthony Florio. As I give it back to you, I got Washington in an upset, knocking off Dallas.
Fair enough. Absolutely. So, like I said, if they were to win, I would not at all be surprised. I wouldn't. So, I don't know. I mean, that out of all the games on the schedule this week, that's the toughest one. That and the other big game in the NFC, the game that's bigger than that, the game of the week on the NFC side. That's also tough. So, but anyways, that concludes the early window for Week 14. Now we move on to the late games. There's 4. There's 2 each, 2 on Fox and 2 on CBS. We're going to get into the Fox games, and we're going to start off with, without a doubt, what will be a very emotionally charged game. No question about it, as it will be the Detroit Lions squaring off against the Denver Broncos from Empower Field at Mile High in Denver, Colorado. And this game, of course, will be on Fox. And just give me one moment here as I pull up my info. Okay, here we go. All right. This will be a 4:05 kickoff. It will be Kevin Kugler, Mark Sanchez, and Laura Oakman. They will be in Denver for that one. And Denver opening up as an 11.5-point favorite. And Denver leads the all-time series 8-5. Denver's won each of the last 2 meetings, including the last meeting, which was 2 years ago in Denver. Denver won 27-17. The Lions last beat the Broncos overall and in Denver. That last happened in 2011. Detroit won in a rout 45-10. So, MF, the reason why I say this is going to be an emotionally charged game, I'm sure we've all heard the shocking and sudden passing of a dynamo receiver that they once had by the name of Demaryius Thomas, and we covered him on this show quite a lot over the last few years, and we called a lot of Denver games. You know, when Peyton Manning was there, and Demaryius Thomas and Julius Thomas and those great Bronco teams of the late 2010s, including the Super Bowl team that won Super Bowl 50. And, well, Detroit, congratulations. You got your first win, a walk-off win against Minnesota. That's great. But, MF, Detroit, I hate to say it, but you're going to be going up against a Bronco team and in a stadium that's going to be – there's not going to be a dry eye in the house because they're going to have the decals. They're going to wear the number 88 decals on their helmets. They will have a moment of silence before the game, and rightfully so. And MF, you thought it was emotional for Florida State when they had that opening game against Notre Dame after the sudden passing of Bobby Bowden. Well, you can only imagine how emotional it's going to be tomorrow in Denver after the very shocking and out of nowhere passing of an all-time great receiver in Demaryius Thomas, who we called a lot of his games over the years.
Yeah, and it's going to be a tough day. It's going to be a tough event and the whole 9 yards. And yeah, without a doubt, the emotions are going to be very high. Everything's going to be played out, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. All I know is that it's going to be a hard game, but Denver is going to win this game. Detroit, yeah, that was an emotional win. That was an amazing win, but at the end of the day, we just got to wait and see how it plays out. But for me, honestly, the winner is going to be Denver. I just think they're just going to have that much more of an offense. I think offensively, defensively, I think they're going to have a big game. And yeah, so I really got nothing more to add. I think Denver will be able to kind of play through the emotion. And I think at the end, they will win the game. And they should be able to beat Detroit pretty handily. So nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours.
Yes, indeed. So, let's see. What to watch for here? The Broncos are trying to stay on the fringes of the AFC's playoff race, and it might rest squarely on their ability to simply admit what they do best on offense: running the ball, paired with an opportunistic play-action passing game that can push the ball down the field and stick to it. Detroit's defense is playing well enough to cause a significant problem for the Broncos' often clunky offense, but the teams that have committed to running the ball against the Lions have had success doing it. 6 opponents have rushed for at least 130 yards in wins over Detroit. If the Broncos want to avoid an enormous hit to their postseason hopes, they will need to be another one of those teams. Bold prediction? Remember the name. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Riding off the success of last week's game-winning touchdown, the rookie Lions receiver will have his second career receiving touchdown in Denver, as quarterback Jared Goff will look to target him more this week. Stat to know, Teddy Bridgewater is on pace to become the first Broncos quarterback since Peyton Manning in 2014 to throw 20 passing touchdowns in a single season. For fantasy, Broncos running back Javonte Williams, in his first experience as the guy in the Denver backfield last week, became the first back in the NFL this season with 100 rushing yards and 75 receiving yards in the game. He finished the week as fantasy's top running back and has an arrow pointing straight up. Betting nugget, the under is 6-0 when Denver covers games this season. Another big FPI favorite, that's Denver. 76.1%. 76% going with Denver. I'm going with Denver, but I think it's going to be closer than you think. But I think Denver will win this one. I'm going to say 23-16. Denver knocks off Detroit in what will be a very emotional scene tomorrow afternoon as they honor the passing of Demaryius Thomas, which we're all still in a state of shock over. I mean, 33 years old. That is way too young. Way too young. But, these things happen. So with that being said, we move on now to the other 405 game over on Fox. And it will feature the New York Giants squaring off against the Los Angeles Chargers from the home of Super Bowl 56 in 2 months' time. SoFi Stadium, Inglewood, California. Adam Amin, Mark Schlereth, and Shannon Spake will be on the call for that one. The Chargers opening up as 9.5-point favorites. The Chargers lead the all-time series 7-5. Chargers have won 4 meetings in a row against the Giants, including their last meeting when the Chargers were the home team. That was in San Diego, 2013. Chargers won 37-14 going away. The Giants have not beaten the Chargers at the Chargers and overall since 1998. 1998 was the last time the Giants won at the Chargers, the San Diego Chargers. 34-16 was the final that day. So let's get into Giants and Chargers. What to watch for? Who will be at quarterback for the Giants? It's likely going to be Jake Fromm or Mike Glennon, but the Chargers don't care. they are worried about Saquon Barkley, whom Coach Brandon Staley called a real running back. The Chargers are dealing with COVID-19 issues with receivers Mike Williams and Keenan Allen on the COVID reserve list, along with cornerback Chris Harris Jr. That could be a big factor in the outcome of the game. Bold prediction, LA running back Austin Eckler will have 200 total yards. We all know Eckler is a dual threat. He can do damage as a rusher, 663 yards, and a receiver, 518 yards. That could be problematic for the Giants, who have allowed the 8th most receiving yards to running backs. And with LA facing questions about the availability of its top receivers, the offense will likely funnel through Eckler more than usual. Expect a monster game. Stat to know, Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert has 58 career passing touchdowns, and he needs 2 tomorrow to join Dan Marino at 68 as the only quarterbacks in NFL history with 60 over their first 2 seasons. For fantasy, if you remove Barkley's longest carry from his 3 games since returning from injury, he has only 53 yards on 27 carries. Betting nugget, Giants coach Joe Judge is 9-4 against the spread as a road underdog, but only 1-3 against the spread in his last 4 games in that spot. Another overwhelming favorite is the Chargers, 76.4%. 76% going with the Chargers. I'm going with the Chargers as well. My final score, 34-17. I got the Chargers knocking off the Giants. So not much more to say. MF, you could definitely consider this a bit of a tune-up for the Chargers because they got a short week because Thursday night they have what could be our game of the week when Kansas City comes to town. And we know what happened the last time they got together on a Thursday night now, don't we?
Don't we all remember what happened last time they got together? One of the best Thursday night games I think we've ever done. No, I'm sure about this. I think the Chargers are going to win the game. I don't think there's really that much to talk about unless they give Saquon a lot of the ball. But here's the thing: when Saquon went up against Miami, Saquon only had like one monster run that whole night and was relatively non-existent the rest of the evening. So I'm pretty sure when this is all said and done, I think the Chargers are going to win the game. There's really nothing more to add. Anthony, it's yours.
And we move on to the 425 games that will be on CBS. And we got 2 good ones, including our game of the week. But that comes up in a moment. This is our number 4 game of the week that we're going to get into. This came in at number 4 on our side of the ledger. Sleeper game if there ever was one. And it's definitely going to conjure up a lot of Super Bowl memories. As it will be the San Francisco 49ers squaring off against the Cincinnati Bengals from Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio, on CBS. And on the call for that one will be the legendary Greg Gumbel with Adam Archuleta and AJ Ross. San Francisco opening up as a 1.5-point favorite. San Francisco leads the all-time series 10-4. They last met in Cincinnati 2 years ago, 2019, and San Francisco absolutely pounded Cincinnati to a pulp, 41-17. The Bengals have not beaten the 49ers at home since 2003, a wild 41-38 shootout in 2003. So there isn't much more to say. MF, I mean, what else is there to say in this one? I mean, number 4 game of the week. Great sleeper matchup. 49ers and the Bengals in Cincinnati as our number 4 game of the week. And thank you to Fox for this cross flex, because this usually would be a Fox game, but it ended up getting cross flex over to our side. And oh boy, we'll gladly take it. And you better believe, MF, during this game tomorrow, it's definitely going to conjure up memories of those 2 great Super Bowls these 2 teams played. Super Bowl 16 at the old Pontiac Silverdome, which the Niners won. And then, of course, Super Bowl 23, one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time, especially that final drive by Montana and company.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's going to be a good matchup. It's going to be a very good game. At the end of the day, I think it can go either way. Cincinnati has not played great lately. They did take one on the chin. And the thing is Joe Burrow's finger going to be all right? The 49ers definitely had some injury concerns themselves, so this could go either way. But I'm going to go with the 49ers. I think San Fran is going to be good enough to get the win. So I'm going to go with the 49ers to win this game. And Anthony, I give it to you.
All right, fair enough. What to watch for? The 49ers ran all over the Bengals in their 2019 matchup. Since that game, the Bengals rebuilt their defense, which is aimed to stop the run. San Francisco is second in the league in percentage of designed run plays, per ESPN Stats and Information Research, and eighth in the league in total rushing yards. Cincinnati, meanwhile, is sixth in the NFL in rush defense success rate. How the Bengals' run defense performs will be a big factor tomorrow. Bold prediction, Niners tight end George Kittle will score twice. He has 5 receiving touchdowns since Week 9, tied for most in the NFL, while the Bengals have yielded 4 receiving touchdowns to tight ends in that same span. Even just one more score would give Kittle a career high for a season. Stat to know, Bengals running back Joe Mixon has scored a touchdown in 9 straight games, one shy of matching the longest streak in Bengals history. Carl Pickens had 10 straight from 1994 to 1995. For fantasy, Week 7. That was the last time Cincinnati's Jamar Chase finished a week as a top 25 fantasy receiver. Betting nugget, Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow is 8-2 against the spread in his career after a loss. The FPI likes San Francisco, but it's very close. They only gave San Fran a 51.5% rate, about 52% going with San Fran. I got to be honest, that's a little shaky. So with that, I'm going to respectfully disagree with MF on this one. I'm going to go with Cincinnati to win this game. Bengals win this one. I say the final score will be 27-24. Cincinnati wins. But if San Fran were to win, I absolutely would not be surprised. So that's really all there is to say on that. And now it is time for the Tony and Mikey game of the week. Our game of the week on our side of the ledger. When the schedule came out, a lot of the experts had this pegged as a potential Super Bowl preview. Who knows? Maybe it could still be a potential Super Bowl preview. You don't know. Teams could get hot out of nowhere. You never know. Could happen. But Super Bowl preview or not, it's our game of the week. No question about it. The Tony and Mikey special. As it will be the Buffalo Bills squaring off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. The other 4:25 game on CBS. Hello, friends. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson, and Tampa Bay opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. Tampa Bay leads the all-time series 7-4. Their last meeting was in 2017 in Buffalo. Buffalo won by a score of 30-27. Last meeting in Tampa, 2013. Tampa all over Buffalo, 27-6. Buffalo has not won in Tampa Bay since 1991, 17-10 at the old Sombrero Tampa Stadium. So with that, let's get into our game of the week. What to watch for? Buccaneers quarterback Tom Brady facing the Bills' vaunted pass defense might be the storyline going into this game. But this one could very well be won and lost on the ground. The Bills surrendered 222 rushing yards to the New England Patriots last Monday night and have given up 12 rushing touchdowns this season, while Tampa Bay running back Leonard Fournette has had 5 touchdowns in his last 2 games. On the other side of the ball, the Bills have struggled to get the ground game going outside of quarterback Josh Allen, and that might happen again against a run defense that's giving up just 84.3 yards a game, the second fewest in the league. Bold prediction, the Bills' leading pass defense will give Tom Brady some troubles, limiting him to 2 or fewer passing touchdowns and forcing at least 2 interceptions. With Buffalo's recent run defense woes, going through the air is not the best way to beat this team, even though Brady has had historic success against Buffalo, 32-3 all time, and leads the NFL's top passing offense. The Bills have allowed 8 passing touchdowns this season and a 57.7% completion percentage to opposing passers, the lowest in the league. This unit has also forced 16 interceptions, third most. Cornerback Dane Jackson, filling in for the injured Tre'Davious White, will have his first big test in Tampa Bay, and being able to limit the Buccaneers' passing offense could be the deciding factor in this game. Stat to know, Bills receiver Stephon Diggs needs 102 receiving yards to reach 1,000 on the season, which would make him the second player in Bills history with 1,000 in consecutive seasons. The other to do it was Stevie Johnson, who had 3 straight from 2010 to 2012. for fantasy, we've now had not one, not two, but 3 straight weeks in which the Bills failed to put their WR2 inside the top 30 at the position in fantasy. Betting nugget, Brady is 21-12-1 against the spread in his career against Buffalo. Tampa Bay, the FPI favorite, 57.5%. It's about 58% going with Tampa Bay. Now, this is one of those rare times where I have to do something I don't like, and I never, ever like having to go against my team. But in this case, I don't have a choice. I got to be realistic. Of course, I want them to win. You better believe I want them to win, because I would love to see them stick it to Brady. I really, really would. After all those years he owned us in New England. But I got to go with Tampa, though. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think Tampa pulls it out. I'm going to say 31-30. Tampa Bay knocks off Buffalo. And like I said, you never know. Maybe this could be a Super Bowl preview. You never know. Even though the experts right now are leaning more towards a New England-Tampa Super Bowl right now. And if it's anything like that regular season game we saw in week number 4, it could be one of the greatest, if not the greatest Super Bowl of all time. You never know. But that's a couple months from now. But nonetheless, I'm going with Tampa to win. As much as I don't want to, I have to. Got to be realistic. 31-30. I got Tampa knocking off Buffalo. But if Buffalo were to win, oh boy, this would be a major. This would be a signature win if there ever was one. Our signature win was Kansas City. In Kansas City. So if they can beat Kansas City, hopefully they can beat Tampa Bay. I mean, this would be huge if they could pull it out. But I don't think it does. So Tampa wins 31-30. MF, the Phil Simms to my Jim Nance, our game of the week. Only fitting that we're honoring the top crew on our side. So MF, you know what to do. Do that thing I like. Hello, friends.
Yeah, it's going to be a great matchup. This is going to be a great matchup. Two really good teams going at it. Buffalo really had a bad game. They got carved up by the running attack by the New England Patriots. But then again, it was a bad game because of the fact of how bad the weather was and the whole 9 yards. So, no, this was an excellent matchup. I think Tampa is definitely going to be the better team, and I do believe Tampa will win it. It's just how much are they going to have? And, we'll wait and see how this plays out. But, yeah, I got Tampa winning as well. So, this is going to be a great matchup, but really nothing more to add. So, Anthony, it's yours.
All right. So with that being said, we move on now to Sunday Night Football on NBC, and it's the second meeting of the all-time greatest rivalry in NFL history: the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers from the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, and Catherine Tappan filling in for Michelle Tafoya. And Green Bay opening up as an 11.5-point favorite. This is their second meeting. Green Bay won the first meeting in Chicago. Green Bay now adds to their series lead. It's now 101-94 with 6 ties. The Packers have now won 5 straight against the Bears. And the Bears have not won in Lambeau since 2015. 17-13 in 2015. That's the last time Chicago won at Lambeau. It's been all Green Bay every year since. So there isn't much more to say on this. MF, oldest rivalry. It's the second meeting. We all remember what happened in that first meeting. Aaron Rodgers. We all know what he said. I still own you.
And I do believe that they will own them. I got Green Bay winning this game. There's no doubt about that. Anthony, I know I never ever do this, but I need to talk about this. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we got ourselves a major upset in the UFC that just happened right now. Juliana Pena, the Venezuelan vixen, has upsetted Amanda Nunes. She just knocked her out in the second round. You heard me right. She submitted her second round by a guillotine choke. Amanda Nunes has lost her belt. The belt at 135, the belt she took from, I can't believe it. It's an upset, a monumental upset. This is as big of an upset when Holly Holm knocked out Ronda Rousey. It's similar to this moment.
Oh, man.
The Venezuelan vixen, Juliana Pena, the new UFC bantamweight champion of the world.
Woo. Wow, what a moment. That's amazing. So did you give your thoughts on Chicago and Green Bay?
I'll say Green Bay wins. I got no doubt in my mind Green Bay wins this game.
All right, fair enough. So with that, just give me a moment here. I just wanted to just look. All right, that's right. So by the way, when Green Bay and Chicago played that first meeting, Green Bay won by a score of 24-14. So that was the I still own you from Aaron Rodgers. So let's get into this from my end here. What to watch for? Green Bay quarterback Aaron Rodgers had the bye week to let his fractured toe heal, but said he won't know how much improvement it made until he gets into the game. He was limping at times during the Packers' last game 2 weeks ago against the Rams, but it didn't seem to impact his performance. This game, however, could indicate how much trouble it will cause him the rest of the way. Bold prediction, Bears quarterback Justin Fields will top the 60% accuracy mark, surpassing his season average of 58.1%. In his return following a 2-game absence from a rib injury, but he will throw at least one interception against a Packer defense that is tied for 9th in the NFL with 12 of them. Stat to know, Packers receiver Devontae Adams is 2 receiving touchdowns shy of tying Jordy Nelson with 69 for the second most in franchise history. For fantasy, Chicago running back David Montgomery has scored over 25 fantasy points in consecutive games against the Packers, catching 14 of 15 targets over that stretch and averaging 5.2 yards a carry. Betting nugget, Green Bay is 10-2 against the spread this season, the best mark in the league, including 5-0 against the spread at home. And the FPI overwhelmingly goes with Green Bay, 80.5%, just about 81% going with Green Bay. I'm going with Green Bay as well, 31-20, Green Bay over Chicago. So not much more to say except we move on to our final game of the week, Monday Night Football, and for the second straight week, they get a big one. You thought the Patriots and Bills was big last week. This may be even bigger. Huge game in the NFC West. It's the NFC game of the week. And it will be the Los Angeles Rams squaring off against the Arizona Cardinals from State Farm Stadium, formerly University of Phoenix Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Steve Levy, Brian Griese, Louis Riddick, Lisa Salters. Unfortunately, no Mannings this week. So they're on another bye week this week for the Mannings. So you'll have to wait for the Manning brothers for another time. So let's see. Arizona opening up as a 2.5-point favorite. And these two teams met earlier this season in Los Angeles, and it was the Arizona Cardinals that won that game by a score of 37-20. So Arizona cuts into the Rams all-time series lead. The Rams still lead the all-time series, but it's now 44-39 with 2 ties. And the Cardinals snapped an 8-game losing streak to the Rams by winning in LA for the first time since 2016, a 44-6 beatdown. But there is a big but here. The Rams have absolutely owned Arizona in Arizona. And the Cardinals have not beaten the Rams at home. You got to go back to 2014. That's the last time the Cardinals beat the Rams at home. 31-14 was that final. But but the Rams have won 6 straight meetings in Arizona, including a 38-28 win there last year. So with that being said, let's get into the NFC game of the week. What to watch for? Arizona quarterback Kyler Murray is back from a high left ankle sprain and wants to throw more downfield this week, but he'll have to keep an eye on the Rams' talented defensive front, which includes defensive tackle Aaron Donald and edge rusher Von Miller. This could come down to a game of cat and mouse between those 2 pass rushers and Murray, who, as everyone knows, is one of the best in the NFL at making plays with his feet. Bold prediction, this matchup will turn into a quarterback duel between Matthew Stafford and Kyler Murray, who ranked 3rd and 4th respectively in total QBR this season. Both will pass for at least 300 yards, with Cardinals receiver DeAndre Hopkins and Rams receiver Cooper Kupp both tallying 100-yard receiving games. Stat to know, Rams receiver Odell Beckham Jr. has scored a touchdown in each of his last 2 games. That's his first time with a touchdown in consecutive games since 2019, and he has not had a receiving touchdowns in 3 straight games since 2015 when he was still with the New York Giants. For fantasy, Kyler Murray scored 22.6 fantasy points in the Week 4 meeting with the Rams, the best game of his career against the divisional rival. Betting nugget, Los Angeles is 8-1 against the spread against Arizona under coach Sean McVay, but Arizona's only cover came in Week 4. FPI likes Arizona, 59.3%, 59% going with Arizona. I'm going with Arizona to win this game as well. It's going to be another high-scoring game. I think Arizona wins. My final score, 37-30. Arizona defeats the LA Rams, gets the season sweep, and takes one step closer to possibly winning the NFC West. So 37-30, Arizona beats the Rams in the NFC game of the week. MF, NFC game of the week to close it out.
Yeah, big matchup, big game, no doubt about it. This is going to be the best. This is 2 weeks in a row. Monday Night Football's got the best game coming in. I totally agree with what you just said, Anthony. I think Arizona is going to win as well. Yeah, there's really nothing more to add. So I got Arizona winning, and yeah, upward and onward we go. So yeah, Florio, let's put a bow into, let's stick a fork in tonight's show.
All right, so a very historic show to say the very least, and especially with that bomb that MF just dropped on us out of the UFC. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, we're still reeling from that one, but it just goes to show anything can happen on any given night in any sports. So with that, that will put the bow on this Week 14 edition of Strictly Sports NFL Saturday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in this evening. We will be back with you Monday night for Ridiculously Raw. Right back here on the Tone 25 as we will review Monday Night Raw and my latest Tony's take on Impact Wrestling and 205 Live. Wednesday night, we got Wednesday Night Mayhem. We got NXT 2.0, but we also have AEW Dynamite. Humongous AEW Dynamite. Winter is coming. Headlined by Hangman Adam Page in his first defense of the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. But by golly, it's not going to be easy because he's going up against the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, in what is going to be a 5-star quality main event. No question about that. Other great matches as well, but we'll get into all that on Wednesday night. Starting next week and going forward, this show will no longer be on Saturday. It'll now be on Thursday. And boy, howdy, we got a loaded slate next week. You can consider this stocking stuffer week because it will be going into Christmas, and it starts on Thursday Night Football with what could be, if the records hold up, MF. As of now, this could be our game of the week. We could be doing the Thursday night game with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers. If the records hold up, it could be KC and the Chargers for us next week. And we remember what happened when we did a Thursday night with them a few years ago now, don't we? If it's anything like that one, oh boy. But it'll definitely have some major ramifications in the AFC West. No doubt about that. Maybe we'll do some bonus commentary. You never know, because the game will still be in progress when we get to the show. But next week, listen to this lineup. 2 Saturday games, both good ones. You got the Las Vegas Raiders and the Cleveland Browns, but the game after that's the bigger one. The New England Patriots and the Indianapolis Colts. Biggest game between those two teams, most definitely since the days of Manning and Brady. and all the fun MF and I had with those games back in the day. Other great matchups to look forward to next on Thursday night: the Tennessee Titans against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Washington Football Team against the Philadelphia Eagles. We got the Cincinnati Bengals and the Denver Broncos in a sleeper game. Game of the week when it comes to the NFC side of the ledger, the Fox side of the ledger. Oh, maybe this could be a Super Bowl preview. You never know. The Green Bay Packers against the Baltimore Ravens, very possible. New Orleans Saints against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday Night Football, and that's pretty much it. So we'll get into all those games, but those are the notable games to keep an eye on for next week. So that'll be on Thursday, and then Friday we got the Cerebral Smack Talk with good old MF Michael Fletcher, and then we go on from there. So I posted the rest of our show schedule for 2021 on my Facebook page. Check it out so you know what to expect in these remaining weeks of 2021. We got a lot of great shows coming up. Looking forward to all of it. So that's it. So until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, this is Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, and in spirit, Michael Bullock, Dede Woodson, and of course the man who put it all together in the first place, the Yankee Messiah 401 Derek Ferrera. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days. And until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, you've been watching Week 14 of Strictly Sports NFL Saturday right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.